Hello friends, welcome back to Programming Fields. This is our second video in Laravel interview preparation series. Today I have come up with one important topic in Laravel, that is Laravel routing. So for beginner levels in almost every interview some questions can be asked from Laravel routing system. In this video I will break down the concept of Laravel routing in a simple and understandable way using some examples. So firstly let's start with the basics. What is routing in Laravel? Well, routing in Laravel just like a roadmap for your web application. It is the system that tells your application where to go when you type any URL in your browser. For better understanding, let's consider one example of a website having multiple pages. So take a look at this website. Here in this website there are multiple menus and each menu is linked with one category page. So if I will click on this Laravel, so it opened one category page having multiple posts. Also, if we will try to put some URL that is already exist here, then it will redirect to that specific category page. So here this is happening because of routing. So when we type any URL in the browser, it understands where it will redirect. So now let's understand the importance of routing in any of web application. So routing is essential because it helps your web application to connect URL to a specific parts of your application. Just think of it as a GPS of your web pages. It will locate every pages when it will come to the request. Now next we will discuss about how routing helps in defining endpoints for handling HTTP requests. So routing defines endpoints which are just like your destination for handling HTTP requests. When a request comes in, the routing ensures it goes to the right place in your application. Now let's understand different types of route supports in Laravel. So basically routes means different types of request type. So in Laravel there are total 4 different types of request type that it supports majorly. In Laravel you can define basic routes that will allow you to define routes for different actions such as showing data with get request, saving data with post request, updating data with put request, and deleting with delete request. Also in Laravel you can define named route. Named routes make your life easier by giving routes unique name for easy reference. This will be helpful when you will have multiple routes. Then just for the identification it should require a named route. It provides group routes. So this group route will be helpful when you will have multiple routes. So you can just bundle all those routes in a group together. You can group routes that share attributes like middleware or URL prefixes. About middleware we will discuss in our upcoming videos. This keeps your code organized and maintains consistency. Also it supports route model binding. So the route model binding is just all about connecting models with your route parameters. In route model binding, the route parameter will be associated with one model. This will be useful when you want to work with database records based on the URL. So at time you don't need to specify any parameter, that it will connect automatically from that model. Laravel offers different types of routes such as web routes, API routes, and channel routes, serving a specific purpose. So we will see these all through example like different types of routes in Laravel. Now let's move on to how you can create routes in Laravel. So for this we need a Laravel application. So here I'm going to just create a new application in Laravel. So I'm assuming you already have the project setup dependency that requires Laravel, just like Jamf, PHP, and MySQL. So I'm not going to explain these all like how you can set up your project environment. I'm just going to create a new application here. So here I'm just using Composer for creating Laravel project. So I will just type one command, Composer create project, preferred is Laravel route application. So it will take a couple of seconds to create this Laravel application here. Yeah, so the application is created. Now I will just cd into this project folder. The name is route app. Now I will open this project in our VS Code editor. So here we will discuss all different types of route by creating through example. So now let's run the application first. So I have opened the terminal here and I will hit enter this php attention serve command. The application will start on 8000 port. Yeah, so now our application is running here. So here let's discuss different types of routes by going through the folder structure in project directory. So here we have this routes folder available in the root of this project. Let me make it zoom. And here we have total 4 types of routes here that Laravel provides by default. So let's discuss with web.php first. So here this is web.php. That means this is applicable only for web applications. Similarly, we have api.php .php file, and this will be applicable only for API, like when you will create any REST API in your application. Similarly, there is channels.php that will be used for broadcasting. Like if you want to trigger any notification, then you can define that routes here in this channel.php. Also, we have console.php, and this will be used for creating a custom command when you want to create any queue and cron job. Then you can define those routes here in the console.php file. So let's start with the web.php. Like when you create any web application, and how that understands like it should redirect to this web.php file, and through this web.php route it will just redirect to your controller function. So now when Laravel application started, this slash means it defines home. So on home will just return this view, that is welcome.blade.php, and this blade file is already created by default through Laravel application, and this is available inside the resources folder. Inside resources we have one views folder, and here this is welcome.blade.php. You can create n number of blade file and you can link with the separate routes. I will discuss this in upcoming videos. So now let's come to the web.php again. Now let me give you one brief idea that what we are going to cover in this route in this video. So I'm just defining these points here. So we will see basic routes that will have get, post, put and delete request. So we will be creating named routes. We will be discussing out group routes, and there will be route prefixes. Also we will be discussing route model binding, and next we will have parameterized route. There will be optional routes also. Regarding API.php, channels and console, we will discuss those things in upcoming videos. So today we will be just discussing out these web routes. So let's discuss this basic route first. So initially I will be creating one route. Let's suppose route get slash about, and here I'm just creating one closure function. Either we can create a view or controller, but I'm not going to create any controller as of now. So I'm just creating one closure function here. This will be our anonymous function. Inside this function we can perform any action events here. So inside this route I will be just echoing out one message, hello, this is about us route. That's it. So now if I will try to access this URL in our browser, let's suppose slash about, then this is echoing this hello message. So this is happening like when I have entered this slash about, this defined like it should go to this particular route, and inside this route should perform this action. Inside this action we have echoed this hello message. Similarly, if you create another route just like contact, now let me change this message, and if I will just navigate to slash contact here, this is redirected to this contact us message. So this is all about get request. You can create n number of route. Now we will discuss about post request. So here we can define post request route colon post, and let's say save contact, and inside this function echo, hey, this is post request, like this. But now in order to run this post request, we need any form, or we required any postman kind of tool. From there we can just run that, because from this browser we cannot trigger the post request. If I will try to trigger that route, it will throw one error, because browser supports get request only. In order to run this post request in the browser, we required a form, because this won't allow us to trigger this post request in the browser. So we will see these in upcoming videos by creating a CRUD application and also that delete request. Now I'm just moving to the next point, that is named route. So named route provides a unique identification of every route. So this will be helpful when you will have n number of routes. In that case, you have to give a unique identification to every route. That will be more manageable for handling this. So now let's create another route get, and here I will define just like slash contact, and I will create a function, and inside this I will just echo out a message, hey, this is a contact us route. So this named route will be used along with all these requests. You can give a unique name to all methods like get, post, put and delete. So as of now I have created this get route. So now if I will try to access that route slash contact, we have this message, hey, this is a contact us route. Before giving a name attribute to this route, let me show you one thing. Laravel provides one artisan command, that is php artisan route colon list. So this command will return all the available routes in this project. So when I hit entered, we got a bunch of routes here. This is about, contact and save. These are created in the web.php file. But here this API/user, this is created inside the API.php file. So now let's come to the editor first. And here we will define our name. We will give a unique name just like name, and here we will define /contact dash. So as of now the result is same in the browser. Now let's come to the terminal, and here if I will re-enter this command, here we got this result. So now in this contact you can say there is a name attribute contact as us. This named route will be used only when you will call this page from any another link. Now in order to understand this named route properly, we can create some list of menu. So let me create a list of menu for you. Route get, we can give a name like /menus, and we can create a function. Inside this function, simply we can echo out div. Inside this div, we will create anchor tag href, and here we'll give name to this href. Now I'm leaving this anchor tag to blank. Now giving one space here using NBSP tag, and now I'm repeating this 3 times. Home, and this will be for about, this will be for contact. Now I'm moving to the browser to check this menu. So here I will enter this menu, and here we have home, about and contact, 3 anchor links here. So here we have created these 3 menus with the endpoints named menus. Now we have to integrate all these 3 routes for these 3 menus. So for home, we already have the default route as /. So we can just put simple / here. For about, we can simply put /about. For contact, we can put /contact. So now we can easily navigate to all these 3 routes, about, and this is /home. Now let's understand the use of this named route, because we have defined this named attribute to this route, but we have not used it. So in order to use this named route, Laravel provides a function named route. So inside that route function, we can pass this named attribute route. So let's see how we can pass. So we have created this for /contact. So for contact, we need to change this /contact with route function. So what we will do, we will use a route function here, and inside this we will pass single quotes, we will pass contact us, and here we will concatenate this function because we are writing this inside a HTML. So now come to this browser to see the magic of named route. I will just inspect it, and I will just show you the source code. So if I will hover over on this here, now you can see for / this is home, and now for /about we have this, but there is no any base URL linked with this endpoint. Now you can see the difference here. For /contact, we have used named route, and inside that named route we have passed route function. So that route function created one base URL, that is our application URL as of now. So now let's suppose whenever you will host this application on any live server, in that case, according to the domain, it will automatically create the base URL. So it will be easy to access and manage, and it won't create any confliction in your routing system. So this is all about the named route. Now next we will come to the parameterized routes. So parameterized route means in the URL segment, you can pass any dynamic parameter that will work as a placeholder, and you can pass anything in that, and that value can be captured in your function. So let's say how you can create a parameterized route. So here I'm just creating another route as a get request, and now I will just pass about /, and here I will just pass a curly bracket. In curly bracket, I will pass one identification of that parameter. So let's suppose I'm just passing one ID attribute, and inside this I will again create a function. I will just simply display one message first. Hey, message parameterized route. Navigate to the browser, and here instead of menus, I will just put /about. So initially in about we have a different route. We have to trigger this about with parameter. Then in that case we need to pass a dynamic parameter here, just like about /1. Then this falls into this route. So here in the route parameter, the crucial thing is like you have to capture this dynamic parameter. Now let's come to this code again. So now let's come to this point, like how we can capture this dynamic parameter inside this function. So here we we have defined this placeholder, and inside that we have created a segment that is ID. So we need to pass the same parameter in the function as well. So here, according to this parameter, we need to pass parameter. Let's suppose ID. It can be different. It is not mandatory. Like if you defined ID attribute, ID parameter here, then you need to define $ID variable. You can put anything like value, and here we can capture this value. Now let's refresh the browser. So now we can see we captured this value as 1. Here we can pass anything that will be automatically captured in this route parameter. Here you can pass different arguments like, hey, this is name. So in order to capture the second argument, you need to define a string name, just like this, echo $string. So now if I will refresh this page again, it won't work because it requires 2 parameters in the route. So now name, and here we got this second argument, second parameter in this result. So this is all about route parameter. You can pass multiple parameters in this get request as a parameterized route. Now next we have optional routes. Yes, so now let's discuss this optional route. So before getting one example of optional route, let me just quickly explain you what is optional route and what is required route. So here in this route we just saw, like about route we required 2 parameters, that is ID and name. So instead of this, in some cases, if you don't require any value and still you want to access this route, in how you can access this? Let's suppose from any function you required 2 parameters, but you have only 1 parameter to pass there. So in that case, that route won't work. So let's think how we can make it optional route. Yes, we can make it optional by passing 1 parameter. So now come to the code again and let's define optional route. Optional, and here we will create a function, right? And from here we will just pass 1 ID attribute, and just one will capture this value. So initially let me run this optional as 1. So we got this parameter value. Now if I will try to access this route without passing this parameter, and say this says not found. Yes, because it expects 1 parameter and we have not passed it. So now we can make this route to optional so that we can access it easily without passing the parameter. So what we have to do after this route parameter, we have to put 1 question mark. This is the syntax, and now let's see. Yes, now we are able to access this route, but we are not able to run because this thrown 1 error. So here the error is clearly identified. This is saying like too few arguments to function. Oh, okay. So now let's come to the code again. So here you can see in the endpoint parameter we made it optional, right? But in the function argument this is still required. Yes, so here we need to pass some initial value. If that variable does not has any value, then how this will work? So in that case you need to make it optional by defining as null. Now let's come to the browser and refresh it again. So now nothing printed, right? Because as of now we have not passed any parameter in this route. Now let's pass 1 parameter and this work. This was all about optional route. Now let's talk about group routes. So route groups are like bundling routes together. So grouping routes to apply shared attributes, like if you want to share middleware, want to put some URL prefixes, any name prefixes, then you can put in a group. So let's say how we can achieve this in Laravel. So now let's create some routes and we will put these routes in a group. So initially, let's say I will create some route, like again I will create home, and inside this I will create function, and simply I will just echo message home, and I will duplicate these routes quickly. Yes, that's it. Home, about, and contact. Yes, so now you can see we have created the same route, that is home, about, and contact. These about and contacts are already created at the top. We can see about and contact. Now I will create a separate route in which I will group these routes together. So let's see how we can achieve route. So now I want to put 1 prefix before these 3 routes. So I will just write route prefix, and inside this I will give a name to this prefix. Like if I want to create these routes only for home page, so So what I can do, I can just put home page and I will create a group and then function, right? And inside this, I will just move these 3 routes inside that. That's it. So now let's come to the browser, and here let me access this home first. So it says it not found. Before accessing these routes, again I will see the route list. Here you can see it generated prefix routes. So here we have homepage slash about, homepage slash contact, homepage slash home. Yes, so now we have the routes in a group. So what we have to do, we have to put a homepage then slash home. Yes, so now we can easily access this group routes by prefixes before this endpoint. So this will be helpful when you want to share attributes in all routes. So instead of writing separately, you can just put in a group just like this. So inside this group routes, you can create a named attribute as well. So now I'm coming to the terminal again. I will show you one thing. So here we can see for these group routes, there is no any name attributes. Now let's create name attribute for these routes. So just put one name, and here this time I will create name like homepage.home. Yes, so here I have used homepage because we have added this homepage as a prefix, and this will automatically understand that this home route is added inside a homepage group prefix. Yes, wherever if we need to call this homepage home, then instead of this homepage slash home, we need to call this homepage dot home. So now let's suppose I will just use menus routes in which we already added this. So here what we will do, we will use this route named and then this homepage dot home, and will create dot. So now let me just duplicate this tab, and here I will just open that menus route, and here let me just inspect it. I will show you the, so now this generated the URL like homepage slash home. So if I will click on this, then I got redirected to this home route. So this is all about this group route in Laravel. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more exciting content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.